Testing 1, 2. Yep, we are live. Hey, hey. Do. It won't let me copy and paste the link. There it goes. Got it. Alrighty, we can. Close that, close that. So, Danny, is the fact that the word chicks is not centered underneath the clip bothering you yet? Chapter 12. All right, we're gonna give everyone a few more minutes, and we're gonna start. So, how's everyone doing so far today? Are you getting sunshine or rain? All right, 30 seconds. All right. Welcome to the training class. We were supposed to do something different today, but Jennifer's tied up. Of course, I got a backup for today. So we're going to go through the 2024 IRC International Residential Code. Okay. ICC, International Code Council, right here in the bottom. That's who regulates these code books. You can buy them off. You can buy them off Amazon. You can buy them from ICCSafe.org. But if you are interested in code and understanding coding, learning code, this is something you should have as a technician, or if you're looking to go for your master's or whatever, look at your state requirements, but your code books are there. Now, most of all your code exams go off commercial codes, but this today we're mainly focusing on residential code. Now, the way code works is each state, hi Walt, each state can regulate what they want to choose out of this code book. They can say, okay, so Virginia, we take the International Residential Code Book and we had the Virginia Residential Code Book. So out of this, Virginia writes their own code book. Then they say, okay, each jurisdiction, when I say jurisdiction, each county, city, municipality, whatever town, they can and then in turn enforce what they want to out of that book. They can't enforce it that's not in the book. They can only enforce what's in the book, or they can choose not to enforce it. So you have all these codes that are out there. And back in the day, there used to be 4 or 5 different areas that had different codes. And if you worked across the state line and one area had a code for one thing, but the other area didn't have that same code. So they decided to come up with this whole concept. Now, a lot of areas, they don't even follow the code. They just do town codes. And that's their right. They don't have to follow these codes. Yes, like Walt said, all localities has to go by the state amendments. Walt is a human code book. Walt and I have been friends for years. I was an inspector inspecting his work. Now Walt's an inspector looking at my work. We flip-flop roles, but yes. So we're basically going to focus on residential code. And that's what we have up here. Okay. The residential code book, as you can see, it is thick. This just doesn't cover mechanical. It covers everything. Structural, electrical, plumbing, foundation, everything you can think of, energy code. There's so many different things this thing covers. Okay. Now, one thing that is not in the mechanical section that falls for us per se, but is in the structural section. That is for unvented crawl spaces. So if you're a mechanical company that does conditioned crawl spaces, there's a section in here for that. And it's not anywhere between chapter 12 and 24. It is back in chapter 6. And I'm going to pull that up real quick. Uh, 602. Yes, Walter, there's 1 and 2 story homes, not of the 3-story townhomes with 1 egress. think I passed it. Unvented crawl spaces, I think it's 6. Thank you, Walt. Yes, you're reading my mind. I go back here and look it up. Walt, unvented crawl spaces, what, 608.3? Unvented crawl spaces. I know it's in chapter 6. Yeah. I had it a while ago and I lost it. .408.3. I had the last numbers right. Because we discussed this before, Jen, I remember. Nope. 408.3 is what I'm looking for raw. Yeah. So I just want to go with this one right here. So in the code book, R408.3. So we're going to go over this real quick because it's a small section. For unvented floor spaces, the following shall be provided. Under the exposed earth shall be covered with a continuous class of one vapor retarder. Joints shall be overlapped by 6 inches and sealed, and shall extend at the wall not less than 6 inches. One of the following shall be provided for under the floor. Now, this is where the HVAC people come in play, because this is on us, essentially. And people who do the stuff don't realize if they're not doing it right. Continuous operated mechanical exhaust ventilation at a rate of equal to 1 cubic foot per minute for each 50 square feet of crawl space floor area, including an air pathway to the common area, such as a duct or transfer grill, and the perimeter walls insulated in accordance with section N1102.2.11.1. So let's go over that for 1 second. This is where people mess up. This section right here, including an air pathway to the common area, such as a duct or transfer grill. That is basically a 2x10 or 4x10 boot, I would use an end boot, cut into the floor with a screen on it to prevent any bugs from coming in, and a grill close to, like, say, in a hallway. Perfect spot. A common area that does allows for transfer of supply air being pushed into the crawl space from your supply boot, and allows exit to leave to get sucked into the return. That does not mean cut a return in the return box in the crawl space. That is not what this is saying. You can't say, "Oh, I got a supply vent in here. I'm going to cut me a 12 by 12 return grill and put a filter on it in the crawl space." No, that's not how that works. That is not considered a transfer grill. You cannot have a return in the crawl space. All right. Condition supply air size to deliver an equal rate of 1 cubic foot per minute for each 50 square feet of underfloor area, including a return air pathway to a common area, once again, such as a duct transfer grill and perimeter walls insulated with the same code. So there you go. Once again, common area, not a return cut in the return box. The third one is plenum is existing structure complies with section M1601.5 if underfloor space is used as a plenum. And the last is dehumidification size in accordance with manufacturer specifications. Okay. So you can put a dehumidifier in there to allow for air movement to keep the moisture out of the crawl space. For the love of everyone's sanity, do not cut a return into the return box of the unit in the crawl space. It's not how you do it. Let's see here. Yes, this is exactly. We bring this up because builders don't care that we have to do this, and they get mad when we put that stuff in there. Nor do you want one. Yeah, no, you don't want to. So yeah, so keep that in mind, everyone. I'm gonna hit one more topic here that y'all are gonna kind of go, what? When you're doing a water heater replacement, furnace replacement, whatever, see, there is a section in the code book that Waltz knows where I'm going with this. You are required to get a chimney inspection done for that appliance to make sure your chimney is safe and not bad. It is in the code book. Okay. It's in the chimney section, I believe, but I'm not going to go too far into that. But yes, if it is in the code, if you are installing a water heater or furnace, you are required to have an inspection done on the chimney to make sure that it is correct. Fuel, oil, stainless steel, inner liner, yes, the whole 9 yards. And I know when I was at the county I was in, if you didn't have that inspection report, you didn't pass inspection. Plain and simple. So keep that in mind. Now, I know a lot of you people out here like, we're just techs. We don't know these things. Well, you know what? I'm just a tech. I know these things because of this, but there's also things you need to know when you're doing your work. Like when you're out doing an inspection, a maintenance on a boiler, okay? You take that vent pipe off to clean the top of the boiler. Well, guess what else needs to be checked? The chimney connection, okay? You need to pull that vent pipe out, look at that chimney connection, check the amount of debris that's built up might be at the bottom of it. Also, you need to take like a camera, turn it up, video, stick your arm up in there and video that chimney liner. Look for chunks of chimney liner on the bottom. If it's brick and mortar, you might want, you really need to suggest them to get a chimney liner done, stainless steel. Now, there is a second thing about code, and it falls with manufacturer's installation instructions. Code tells us what we shouldn't do. Manufacturer installations tells us how we should put it in. Yes, we'll get there, Walt. But whatever's more constringent, whichever means more restrictive or constringent on the situation you're doing, is what is being taken care of. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. Ground clearance. This is one that, well, let's go here. Let's start with access first. Okay. Appliance under the floor. That is M1305 .1.3. Now I'm putting these code sections up so everyone has it. Underfloor spaces containing appliances shall be provided with an unobstructed passage large enough to remove the largest appliance, but not less than 30 inches high and 22 inches wide, nor more than 20 feet long measured along the center line of the pathway of the opening of the appliance. Yes, I read that. 30 by 22 opening, 20 feet, unobstructed. No piping, no ductwork, no electrical, nothing. Okay? You must have a straight shot. That's what unobstructed means. If the depth of the passageway or the service space exceeds 12 inches below adjoining grade, that means if your access is below grade, the walls of the passageway shall be lined with concrete or masonry extending 4 inches above the adjoining grade in accordance with Chapter 4. The rough frame access opening dimensions shall be not less than 22 by 30 inches and large enough to remove the largest piece of equipment appliance. So 30 by 22, the rough frame. Rough frame. In other words, you got a 30 by 22 opening. Then you put the 2x4s in to put the door on there. Now it's less than 30 by 22. But if you pull the wood out, that's your rough frame. Yes, Walt. Yeah, you don't put the unit. So there's also, and then the passageway exceptions. The passageway is not required to where the level server space is presented when the access opening. The appliance can be served by moving through the opening. And where the passageway is unobstructed, not less than 6 feet high, 22 inches wide, for its entire length, the passageway shall not be limited. Okay. Now, there's a second thing that goes right below that. So 0.3, then 0.1, ground clearance. Appliances suspended from floor should not have a clearance less than 6 inches from the ground. All right. Equipment. Let me start from the beginning. Equipment and appliances supported from the ground shall be level and firmly supported on a concrete slab or other approved materials extending not less than 3 inches above the adjoining ground. Such support shall be in accordance with the manufacturer installation instructions. 3 inches. So unit, 3 inches below. Okay. Ductwork, 3 inches below. Well, we're just talking about underfloor, Walt. So I'm just going down the code book. So everything of your duct system must be a minimum of 3 inches above the ground. Okay. Vapor barrier, 3 inches above it. If you're hanging it from the ceiling, must be no less than 6. Clearance from combustible structures. There's a whole section of that. Okay. And I'm not pulling that stuff up, guys. Just so you can see. This is it right here. This is what we just went over. Now, clearance from combustion structures. It tells you everything you need to know. All right. This is your Bible. And if you don't understand this, you buy the commentary version. It's even bigger and has more information in there. We're just trying to touch on a lot of the basics in this little bit of frame. All right. Appliance installation. All right. There's a code on that as well. There's a code for everything. Installation of appliances shall conform to the conditions of their listing and label and manufacturer's instructions. The manufacturer's operating and installation instructions shall remain attached to the appliance. Now, how many times have you gone in a crawl space or gone to a unit and looked for the paperwork and it's not there? The homeowner doesn't have it, the company doesn't have it, it's been thrown away. By code, it is supposed to stay with the piece of equipment. That's it. It's supposed to be there. Okay. Well, that's an automatic fail for me. There's a lot in here. We're gonna go over this one more section in this section installation, but there's a lot of stuff in this. Good information in these things, guys and gals. You'll get a code book, read it. You'll be surprised on how much you're actually missing and not doing right. M, this is a huge one. I think Walt might know where I'm going with this when I put the numbers up here. This is important. Protection from impact. Appliances shall not be installed in a location subject to vehicle damage except where protected by approved barriers. Protection impact. And notice it says shall, not should or shall. Shall is a legal term. It is a legal word. Not should be installed, shall be installed. All right. Garages. Outdoor units at the edge of the driveway. These things, this is where we have impact, people. I can't tell you. Um, got a customer, elderly gentleman. He has the parking lot curbs, parking lot concrete barriers on his floor, but it's not bolted down. He accidentally hit the gas versus the brake. Fortunately, it stopped his tires, but not quick enough, and he took the furnace from this level and did that to it. So my furnace that I just installed was sitting at a 45. The return pushed that way. I had to go out there and take it and bring it back. He did crack the drain line. No big deal, but everything else was mechanically fine. But yes, you best thing out there, impact bollards. Concrete pole, 4 foot tall, no metal pole, bolted to the ground. Perfect thing. All right. There's a whole section on drilling and notching and taking pipes through wood and everything else. Heating and cooling equipment and appliances. We're now in chapter 14. And I'm going to try and roll through a lot of this stuff as much as I can. If I have to do two weeks of this, we'll do 2 weeks of this. But this is important stuff, people. Installation of cooling equipment and appliances shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions and the requirements of this code. Boom. That's it. Right there. No ifs, ands, buts about it. No taking cardboard and mastic tape and making supply boxes and return boxes transitions. All right, Walt, have a good one. Walt and I just, yeah. But right there, and heating and cooling equipment and appliances shall be installed in accordance with manufacturer installation instructions and requirements of this code. Plain and simple, done, boom, there it is. Have a nice day. That's M1401.1. M1401.2. And then the next section is for Gen. Heating and cooling equipment and appliances shall be located with respect to the building construction and other equipment and appliances to permit manufacture, servicing, and replacing. Clearances shall be maintained to permit clearance of heating and cooling services, replacement filters, blowers, motors, controls, and vent connections, lubrication of moving parts, and adjustments. Exception: access shall not be required for ducts, piping, or other components approved for concealment. Now, in other words, you have to have access to the equipment. And there's a section in here that talks about how much access in areas you have to have. Now, this one here, this is for Gen. I'm going to put it on the bottom here, but this is Gen's code. Okay. And this code is leading into more of the stuff that her and I are doing. M1401.3, equipment and appliance sizing. Heating and cooling equipment and appliances shall be sized in accordance with HVA Manual S or other approved sizing methodologies based on building load calculations in accordance with HVA Manual J or other approved heating and cooling calculation methodologies. Right there in the code book. Just to show you, right here. Manual S, Manual J. Mic drop. I can't drop it because it's on my head, but mic drop right there. Now, here's the thing in the residential world. Like I said, it's in the code book. It says it right there. There are localities that do not require those when you're getting a permit. There are localities who do require it. It's there. Just because they don't require it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Save yourself a headache and do this. Okay? It's right there in black and white. I don't know how else to say don't do that. But the Manual J and Manual S, Manual D, that stuff, we're going to go over that more with Jen, but it's in the code book. Let's see here. So in this section, appliances, we have central furnaces, heat pump equipment, refrigeration cooling equipment, baseboard conveyors, radiant heating systems, duct heaters, vented floor furnaces. Vented floor furnaces, vented wall furnaces, vented room heaters, heating and cooling equipment, absorption cooling equipment, evaporative cooling equipment, fireplace stoves, and masonry heaters. That is all under in chapter 14. And there is a plethora of information that's in there for you. So keep that in mind. And there's ATSM numbers. There's a whole section of everything. Let's see here. I think I might have missed one thing. Just check. I think I might have missed one thing. Here it is. Forgot one section. Appliances and attics. Okay. Attics containing appliances shall be provided with an opening and clear, unobstructed passageway large enough to allow removal of the largest appliance, not less than 30 inches by 22 inches. So same as under in the crawl space. The passageway shall have a continuous solid floor in accordance with Chapter 5, not less than 24 inches wide, and a level surface space not less than 30 inches deep and 30 inches wide shall be present along all sides of the appliance where access is required. The clear access dimensions shall be not less than 20 inches by 30 inches and large enough to remove the largest appliance. So, right there by code, you are required to have a 24-inch wide walkway or crawlway to the piece of equipment and a minimum of a 30 by 30 access in front of it. So, the blower door 30 by 30, the coil 30 by 30, the media filter 30 by 30, the humidifier 30 by 30, all needs to have that in front of the unit. So keep that in mind. All right. Exhaust systems. Chapter 15. Basically, the removal of the air removed by mechanical exhaust system shall be discharged to the outdoors in accordance with section M1404.3 shall not be exhausted into an attic, soffit, ridge, vent, or crawl space. So in other words, you can't just take that bathroom exhaust vent and just kind of sit it in the soffit or just sit it in the attic or put it at the ridge vent or something. It has to terminate outside. Yes, I am getting very vibrant on this, but this stuff is the best. I love this stuff. And I hope y'all get excited for this too, because I just love code. Code just brings So, with that being said, it shall be terminated outside. Exception: whole house ventilation type attic fans that discharge into attic space and dwelling units having provided attics shall be permitted. So, whole house fan, perfectly fine. But everything else, outside. And there is a complete section on this. All right. Now, when we're doing this, this includes clothes dryers. And that is a key. That is huge. People don't realize. This section 1502, that entire section of 1502 covers everything about your dryer. Okay. I'm going to hit the top material of it real quick just so you have it. All right. Duct termination shall be terminated outside the building. Shall be in accordance with dryer's manufacturer installation instructions. If the manufacturer instructions do not specify termination locations, exhaust ducts shall not terminate less than 3 feet in any direction from openings into buildings, including ventilated soffits. Exhaust terminations shall be equipped with a backdraft damper. Screens shall not be installed at the duct terminations. Again, screens shall not be installed at the duct terminations. Why? Because it blocks up. All right. Passageway. Outlet and passageway. Passageway of the dryer duct termination shall be undiminished size and provided opening not less than 12.5 square inches. Let's see here. Exhaust ducts shall have a smooth interior finish and shall be constructed of metal not less than 28 gauge and shall be 4 inches in diameter. Exhaust ducts shall be supported at intervals not exceeding 12 feet. The insert end shall go with the airflow. So your crimped end goes with flow. Exhaust joints shall be sealed and shall be mechanically fastened. Ducts shall not be joined with screws or similar fasteners that protrude more than 1/8 of an inch into the side of the metal duct. So that means tape, tape, tape. Duct transition ducts of the accordance dryers shall be single length and listed and labeled in accordance with UL 2158A. Transition duct shall not be greater than 8 feet. So transition duct, what that means is you have your duct and your dryer duct on the wall. The transition duct is from that connection to your dryer. So you can't have more than 8 feet. Shorter the better, but no more. You just don't take, you buy a 10-foot section and just say, I'm going to take this 10-foot section and collapse it into a small thing or just have it all snaked up behind. No, you want a short run as possible to make sure it's connected. Booster fans shall not be installed in dryer exhaust. Duct length. The maximum allowed exhaust duct shall be determined by one of the particular methods. Here we go. Specified length. The maximum length of exhaust duct shall be 35 feet from the connection to the from the connection to the transition duct from the dryer to the outlet terminal. Where fittings are used, the maximum length of the exhaust duct shall be redirected in accordance with the table. The maximum length of the exhaust duct does not include the transition duct. So that little section in the house is not part of it. It's from where that connects to outside. So a 4-inch radius elbow, 2.5 feet, a 95 feet. Okay. Now they also have 6-inch in case it requires 6-inch. Same thing. 6-inch 45, 1 foot, 6-inch 90, 1 foot 9 inches. All right. So keep in mind those measurements, those fittings take up length. So if I had 490s in there, that's 10 foot. That means I can only run 25 feet of pipe, and that's it. And yeah. So dryer ducts, kitchen hood exhaust. All right. Let's see here. I'm just going to try to touch base with this real quick. The domestic cooking exhaust. Where domestic cooking exhaust equipment is provided, shall comply with one of the following: an overhead fan, range hood, and downdraft exhaust permit not integral with cooking appliances shall be listed and labeled in accordance with UL 507. And basically talking about your overhead exhaust fans, same UL. Domestic cooking tops with downdraft, listed and labeled with ANSI Z21.1 or UL 858. Microwave ovens, listed and labeled with UL 923. All right. Now, there is a section in here. I'm going to try and pull it up. Makeup air required. Let's see. That's where we're going right now, the makeup air. Okay. Kitchen air required. Where one or more of your gas, liquid, or solid burning appliances is either directed vented, nor use a mechanical draft venting system is located within the dwelling unit's air barrier. Each exhaust system is capable of exhausting in excess of 400 CFM. So that's the key right there, 400 CFM. And this is 1503.6. That's another key one you know for that there. Okay. Let's see. Shall be mechanically or passive provided with makeup air at a rate approximately equal to the air exhaust rate. Such makeup air system shall be equipped with not fewer than one outdoor air duct and damper complying with this section. So right there, when you bring that makeup air in, you also have to temper it essentially. But yes, you have to have that makeup air with that. 400 CFMs. All right. Then, there's I could do this code section stuff for hours and hours. I could read you each section. I'm just trying to kind of hit the key points, but there's so much good information in here, y'all. So much. Mechanical ventilation. Where the local code exhausts whole house mechanical ventilation is provided, ventilation shall be designed in accordance with this section. So if you have a mechanical ventilation system, all right, and I'm just going to read something real quick. Mechanical ventilation rate. The whole house mechanical ventilation system shall provide outdoor air at continuous rate not less than determined in accordance with table M1505.4.3 or not less than determined by equation 15-1. And that equation is ventilation cubic rate in cubic feet per minute equals 0.01 times total square foot area of house plus 7.5 times number of bedrooms plus 1. So there is a whole rate there. Formula, the whole 9 yards. All right. Chapter 16, everyone's favorite, duct systems. Duct systems serving heating, cooling, and ventilation equipment shall be installed in accordance with provisions of this section. And ACA Manual D, the appliance manufacturer's installation instructions, or other approved methods. That's it. Plain and simple, right there. Now, it talks about your above ground duct systems, all the stuff that you can use, and what you can't use. All right. Underground duct systems. There's a whole section for that, talking about where you have ductwork that goes underground. You have to encase it in concrete to protect it, put something there to remove water, the whole 9 yards. Duct installation materials. Duct installation materials shall conform with the following requirements. And it talks about the flame spreads, the coverings, and everything there. Joints, seams, and connections. Okay. It talks about how, let's see here. Let's see. Tapes and mastic used to seal fiberglass ductwork shall be listed and labeled in accordance with UL 181A and shall be marked 181A-P for pressure sensitive tape, 181A-M for mastic, and 181A-H for heat sensitive tape. Tapes and mastic used to seal metallic and flexible air ducts and flexible air connectors shall comply with UL 181B and shall be marked 181B-FX for pressure sensitive tape or 181BM for mastic. Duct connectors to flanges and air distribution system equipment shall be sealed and mechanically fastened. Mechanical fasteners for use with flexible non-metallic air ducts shall comply with UL 181B and shall be marked 181B-C. Crimp joints for round metallic ducts shall have contact lap not less than 1 inch and shall be mechanically fastened by means of not less than 3 metal screws or rivets equally spaced around the joint. I don't know how to make that sound any clearer. Okay. Now, one of the things this thing was air connectors. Okay. We have our flex duct, we have our hard pipe duct, but we have air connectors. That is a totally different thing in its own beast. Okay. We'll get there. You've got duct insulation, duct separation, ducts in garages. Ducts in garages shall comply with section R 302.5.2. So right here, even though this is a mechanical section, you have to go back to a different chapter in a different section that's not part of you, R 302.5.2. All right. So if you're not sure what an air connector is the uninsulated flex. That is the silver flex looking flex stuff. That's considered air connector. You can only run them for 15 feet, and that's it. And it tells you in the manufacturer installation instructions how long you can run it. Let's see here. What else in this section here? Return air. It talks about return air openings and extensions. Combustion air. It's a small section, but it's there. Solid fuel burning appliances shall be provided with combustion air in accordance with the appliance manufacturer's installation instructions. Oil fired appliances shall be provided with combustion air in accordance with NFPA 31. The methods of providing combustion air in this chapter does not apply to fireplaces, fire stoves, and direct vent appliances. The requirements for combustion or dilution for air gas appliances shall be in accordance with Chapter 24. Opening location. In flood hazard areas established, Table 302, combustion air openings shall be located above the elevation there. Now, where it says NFPA 31, that's a code book. I have that downstairs. It's about that thick, okay? But it's a code book on oil. Chimneys and vents. Yep. So let's see here. Fuel burning appliances shall be vented to the outdoors in accordance with their listing and labeled and manufacturer installation instructions, except appliances listed and labeled for unvented use. Venting systems shall consist of approved chimneys or vents or venting assemblies that are an integral part of the labeled appliance. Gas-fired appliances shall be vented in accordance with Chapter 24. So now we're going from Chapter 18 to 24. So you see, we're just moving through this book in different areas. And it talks about all this stuff with venting. There is a lot of this in here. There's tables, there's do's and don'ts of it. Draft hoods, vent dampers, terminations. Okay. Natural draft appliances shall terminate not less than 5 feet above the highest connected appliance outlet. Outlet and natural gas vent furnaces, vents servicing wall furnaces shall terminate at an elevation not less than 12 feet above the bottom of the furnace. Type L venting shall conform to UL 641 and shall terminate with the enlisted labeled cap in accordance with the vent manufacturer installation instructions, not less than 2 feet above the roof and not less than 2 feet above any partition of the building within 10 feet. So if you have vent pipe going out the roof, you can't have it at 6 inches, not less than 2 feet. You have to have it 2 feet above the roof. So you have 12 inches and then you have a snowfall level requirement. So 12 inches. So right there. And it goes through all the and everything. Masonry and factory built chimneys. It talks about the connections and that there. Special appliances, equipment, and stove systems. You have range and ovens, sauna heaters, stationary fuel cell power plants, gaseous hydrogen systems, which I don't think we have those in residential, but they're there. It's in the code book. It's a small section. It's only about a half a page, but it just talks about what you shouldn't do real quick and what section you need to fall under. Boilers and water heaters. Yes, water heaters fall under mechanical as well. Why? It does, because we use hot water to heat houses with boilers and with aquatherms. Installation to the requirements of this code, the installation of boilers shall conform to the manufacturer instructions, manufacturer's rate data and nameplate operating instructions, and permanent type shall be attached to the boiler. Boilers shall have their control set adjustment tested by the installer. A complete control diagram together of complete boiler operation instructions shall be furnished by the installer. Solid and liquid fuel burning boilers shall provide with combustion air as required in Chapter 17. There you go back now. So here we are with boilers, operation safety controls, low water cutoffs, steam boilers, gauges, pressure relief valves, discharge pipes, expansion tanks. There's a whole section on expansion tanks. That is M 2003.1. It tells you, says hot water boilers shall be provided with an expansion tank. Non-pressurized expansion tank shall be securely fastened to the structure or boiler and supported to carry twice the weight of the tank filled with water. Provision shall be made for draining non-pressurized tanks without emptying the system. So in other words, you should have a shutoff valve so you can take the tank out just to drain that tank. Doesn't mean let's just take some wall anchors, put it up on the wall, and strap the tank to that. Let's not have the CPVC supporting the tank. They are there. It's just no. Come on, people. You don't do that. Mount the thing so it can take the weight. Turn it upside down. Have it being supported by the pipe threads itself. If you want to put a strap on it, go right ahead. Support the expansion tanks. They get heavy. They can wear on plastic. They can wear on metal. They can cause things to sag. They can get heavy. Water heaters for use for space heating. It says refer back to chapter 24 and 28 in manufacturing instructions. Water heaters again. Pool heaters. Yes, pool heaters fall under us. Hydronic piping. There is a whole chart of listing of approved materials used for hydronic piping. Right here in the code book. It tells you what you can and cannot use. It talks about everything you need to know. Testing, joints and connections, preparation of pipe ends. It says right here, just real funny because I know none of us can sometimes do this and it happens, but it does. Pipe shall be cut square and shall be free of burrs and obstruction. Pipes shall have a full bore opening and shall be prepared in accordance with the pipe manufacturer's instructions. Cut square. So if you're not sure what cut square is, that means the pipe straight on, not angled a little bit either way, flat. So if you took the pipe and took it like this and set it on something, it stayed there, not sitting at an angle. It's got to be flat. Yes. There's a huge. Hydronic piping is several pages. You got baseboard converters, floor heating systems, low temperature piping, ground source heat pump looping, pipe looping, geothermal. Right there. Talks about that, what you can use. One section is the pipe. Shutoff valves. I mean, there's a entire several pages. Special piping and storage systems, oil tanks, oil piping, installation, pumps and valves. So NFPA 31 in chapter 22 of the IRC is oil. Now, in my area, we don't have it really any of this, but solar thermal energy systems. It's there. It's in the code book. That means someone's playing with it. It's specialized system. Not for me, but it's there. And our final chapter. I don't have my fuel gas code books with me, but we have a huge section on fuel gas. Okay. Now, this section here will be important to not just the gas piping side of it, but also the combustion air. And let me do this. I'm going to keep that marker out and put this one in because I want that section there. So, with fuel gas, all right, if you have a furnace and a closet in the house and it has a solid door, as long as it has an exhaust pipe and a fresh air intake pipe, you can have that solid door. If you only have an exhaust pipe, you must have a louver door. You must have some way to bring in fresh air for combustion. It is required. You cannot have a furnace in a bedroom. Why? It's going to suck the air out of the bedroom and essentially you could suffocate the person because there's no air to breathe. There is, I kid you not, when I say this is an important chapter, it is every bit of thick as the top of that pen. There we go. That's how thick the top is, right there. That little nipple, little pop up. That's how thick that chapter is. It has so much to cover. So much. Yes, I love it. It talks about everything in the world with gas. Structural safety, combustion venting and air dilution, appliance locations, fresh air intake. So, like, I'm gonna show you this page here real quick. It's not gonna focus, but so well. But see the size, the side over here says opening. Those are your fresh the intake for your combustion air. Okay, it talks about that stuff. It talks about how to get fresh air intake. All right, you can bring you got a crawl space, you got your unvented, you got your vented crawl space. You can put a grill in the floor to bring in your combustion air. That was done a lot back in the day. Okay, you can put a grill in the ceiling to pull combustion air from the attic. Okay, there are many things you can do, but when you pull it from the attic, you gotta make sure it's up high enough so you're not pulling in attic insulation or it's getting blocked up. There's so much to do. Clearance reduction with metal. There's a whole chart in here that tells you you put this gauge metal, it reduces the clearance for combustion from this much. There's so much, everybody. Electrical bonding, CSS2, CSST, corrugated stainless steel tubing. That is going away the next code cycle, but it's in there. It tells you how to do it. Pipe sizing. It tells you how to size the pipe for the system from meter to your appliance. There's two method. It discusses it. It shows it. It tells you how to do it. Combustion air. There's a formula for combustion air. It tells you how to do that combustion air formula. It tells you what size vents and everything else. All right. Piping installation, places you can put it. Testing. And then my favorite part of this whole chapter that everybody seems to mess up. They even give you a picture to show you how it's done. Sediment traps. If you cannot follow that and understand what that picture shows, please read, ask. It's right there in black and white. And I'm going to read this section to you because this is important. Okay. And this is G2419.4. G2419.4. Beside it is a parentheses of 408.4. This is the IFGC. So if you see a code number, this is your residential code. If you see something beside it, this is your mechanical code. They are exactly the same. That's it. They referenced this to this code section here. They pulled this from this. So, with that being said, I'm going to start with this right here, sediment trap. Where a sediment trap is not incorporated as part of the appliance, which most of the time it's not, the sediment trap shall be installed downstream of the appliance shutoff valve and as close to the inlet of the appliance as practical. The sediment trap shall be either a gas fitting T have cap nipple of any length installed vertically at the bottommost opening of the T as illustrated in the figure, or other device approved as effective sediment trap. Illumination appliances, ranges, clothes dryers, decorative vented fire appliances for installation in vented fireplaces. Fireplaces or outdoor grills need not be so equipped. All right. So you're not required to install them. And there's other ones, furnaces and water heaters. Yes. That's a sediment trap. Now they have what's called as drip legs, and people think, oh, they're the same thing. A little bit. Location of drips or drip legs shall be provided with a ready access permit, cleaning or emptying. A drip shall not be located where condensate is subject to freezing. So if you live in a city that has known for wet gas, you need if you're going to put a drip leg in, you got to put it in to where you can keep it warm and not let it freeze. All right. Now the key thing here. Sediment traps shall be installed downstream of the shutoff valve and close to the equipment, and have a cap nipple any length installed. Okay. So I'm going to draw this out right here real quick. Here's my gas line coming over. Okay. Shutoff valve, sediment trap. All right. Now here's another one. Shutoff valve, sediment trap. We're changing the flow of direction, correct? And the third one, this is a no. Doesn't change direction, and it's not the bottom. This allows a change of direction, and we still have our cap. We still have our cap. This right here is what everyone's used to seeing. Plain and simple. It's just standard practice. This one can be done. No one, you don't have a problem with it, but yes, it's there. Now, I could go on for hours on this, y'all. Hours, hours, hours. What's one thing we didn't talk about? Condensate drains, right? There's a whole section in that too. And I must have clipped over it, but see if I can find it real quick. Make sure we go over that because that's the last thing I want to talk about. But I'll be more than happy if y'all watch this and you go, hey, can you cover more of something on this or more something on that? I will be more than happy to discuss that with you. Here it is right here. And the last main code section we're going to discuss. I'm going to write it right over here. M1411.9. This one I'm going to go over completely because this has a lot, but there's information in here that you'll be surprised and shocked to learn. Jesse, about wet gas, so you need to talk to the gas company, honestly. They're the ones who know. Whoever in the gas supplies the gas for the city or locality, that's you know. Where I am in Richmond, there's an area of Richmond that does have some wet gas in it. It does get some water in that gas piping because it's so old. They've been working on replacing a lot of that piping. They've gotten a lot of it replaced, but it just takes time and money. But yeah, there is that there. Now, also, there are other states that are trying to get rid of gas. Where I'm at, Richmond City just announced that in 3 or 4 years, they're looking at trying to get rid of all gas appliances. Small problem. We have historic buildings that function off of steam boilers and hot water radiators. There's no way to supplement that kind of heat because it's literally a brick wall, fur strips, insulation, and basically sheetrock. That's it. I just, yeah. If you're in LA, you probably don't have wet gas. As old as Richmond is, I'm sure I know we got wet gas. I've dealt with it. All right. So, condensate disposal. I said this section here is a lot of information. I'm gonna go through it. If you have questions, I'm gonna be looking at the chat. Stop me, ask me. But there are stuff in here that you can go. I can do that and not have this. What? Hold up. Wait. So Condensate condensate from cooling coils, evaporators shall convey to the from the drain pan outlet to an approved place of disposal. Such piping shall maintain a minimum horizontal slope in the direction of discharge, not less than 1/8 vertical units in 12 inches horizontal, quarter inch per foot, an eighth of an inch per foot, not less than. Condensate shall not discharge into a street, alley, or other area that would cause a nuisance. All right, auxiliary drain pan systems. This is where it gets a little tricky. In addition to the requirements in the section above, the secondary drain or auxiliary drain pan shall be required for each. So, secondary drain or drain pan. Keep that in mind. So, your emergency pan and your secondary drain line off the unit. Drain auxiliary pan shall be required for each cooling or evaporated coil where damage to any building component will occur as a result of overflow from the equipment, drain pan, or stoppage in the condensate drain piping. Such piping shall maintain a minimum horizontal slope in the direction of discharge, an eighth of an inch per foot. Horizontal drain shall not least be not less than 3/4 inch diameter nominal pipe size. One of the following methods shall be used. Okay, we have 4 methods for condensate disposal on the secondary, not your primary, your secondary. And it says only one has to be followed. So you don't have to do more than one, but only one has to be followed. An auxiliary drain pan with a separate drain shall be installed under the coils on which the condensation will occur. The auxiliary drain pan shall discharge to a conspicuous point of disposal to alert occupants of the event of stoppage of the primary drain. Yes, 3/4 for mini splits too, unless you use the manufacturer's drain tubing that's that 1/2 inch. But it says right here 3/4 in the code book. A lot of inspectors are fine with that 1/2 inch tubing from the manufacturers for that drain. So you buy those rolls of tube that can't come apart. You can use that. But I have had a contractor one time use 1/2 inch liquid tight for his drain for his mini split. Thought was in the right spot, but the liquid tight's not UL listed as drain piping. It's liquid tight. It keeps water out, keeps water in. Hey, why can't I? Can't do it. The drain shall have a minimum depth of 1.5 inches and shall not be less than 3 inches larger than the unit or the coil dimensions in width and length, and shall be constructed of corrosion resistant material. Galvanized sheet metal pans shall have a minimum thickness of not less than 24 gauge. Non-metallic pans shall have a minimum thickness of not less than 1.6 millimeters or 0.0625 of an inch. So there's your first choice: a drain pan with a drain line going out. That was it. Second, a separate overflow drain line shall be connected to the drain pan installed with the equipment. So your secondary drain line on your coil or air handler. This overflow drain shall be discharged to a conspicuous point of disposal to alert occupants in the event of a stoppage of the primary drain. The overflow drain shall be connected to the drain pan at a higher level than the primary drain line connection. So what that says, I can have my primary drain line going out and I can have a secondary line going out. I don't have to install a drain pan. I don't have to install drain pan switches. I can do that without a drain pan in an attic. Does that seem like a smart thing to do? We want as many safeties as possible in that system, right? Right. Slope percentage is an eighth of an inch per foot. So plumbing for waistline is quarter inch per foot. For our condensate disposal is an eighth of an inch per foot. So for every foot that we're going horizontal, we have to have an eighth of an inch drop going across. I always factor the quarter. It's easier for the length and the math, and it's easier to see on the quarter inch bubble on your level. All right, number 3, an auxiliary drain pan without a separate drain line shall be installed under the coils on which condensation will occur. This pan shall be equipped with a water level detection device conforming to UL 508 that will shut off the equipment prior to the overflow of the pan. The pan shall be equipped with a fitting to allow for drainage. The auxiliary pan shall be constructed in accordance with item 1 of this section. So you can put a drain pan under there with, say, a ball valve or something, or some way a piece of pipe with a cap and a rubber coupling, something so you can drain the pan and have a pan switch and not run a line outside. So you get to these houses that have 2 drain lines, one off the pan and one going outside, and everyone's like, I don't need that pan line. I just cap it, put a switch in it. That's fine and dandy. But why not let it go outside? Why? Because people just don't care. If you have an emergency pan that has a drain line on it, do yourself a favor. Hook it up. Still put your flow switch in, but hook it up. That way, in case there's water in there, it still can get outside. That way, you're not up there 2 o'clock in the morning with a shop vac, vacuuming this thing out and making multiple trips up and down an attic through a small scuttle hole when it's 100 degrees outside to get the pan drained because it's got full of water after you've unblocked the drain line. Why make it harder on yourself? Make it easy. I told you, Jesse. This section is just. All right, number 4. A water level detection device conforming to UL 508 shall be installed that will shut off the equipment served in the event the primary drain is blocked. This device shall be installed in the primary drain line, the overflow drain line, or the equipment supplied drain pan located at a point higher than the primary drain line connection and below the overflow rim of such pan. So, easy trap and a secondary pan switch, and that's it. Still, no drain pan? Really? Really? I can do with the easy trap and an SS2 and no drain pan? For the love of my sanity and my ceiling and my insurance, please let me do this. It's code is there for the bare minimum. All of us know if you're installing a unit in an attic or where water can damage, especially attics, you have a primary drain pan, primary switch. You can have a secondary switch, but for the love of God, please put a pan under the unit. Jeez. So for me, it's a primary SS2 pan switch, and if the pan's got a line on it, it's getting a pan line too. Hell, I'll even take the secondary off the coil and put it into the pan. No harm in that. It's going to the pan to go outside. Hey, it works. Hook it up on the initial new construction or on a change out. Yes. If you're doing new construction, run you 2 drain lines. Okay. Label 1P and 1S. That means primary, secondary. Run your 2 drain lines up through the chase, through your line set, the whole 9 yards. That way you have that secondary drain line going out there. Now, that conspicuous placing, that if you put it outside and label it P and S, hey, that way the homeowner knows at the end of the pipe, hey, the S line is draining, not the P line. We got a problem. That's secondary. Back in the day, we would take it through the soffit and drop it out above a window or door to where if it dripped, the homeowner would know, hey, where's this water coming from? They look up, well, what's that pipe there? That's what that's for. Okay. It's right there for you to do. Now, that's just that one little section right there. Okay. And then we're going to put a comma 0.1 because it's the same thing with the 0.1. After that, there's another 0.1. I mean, the way this code book reads, so it goes M1411.9, M1114.9.1, M11.9.1.1. So there's still more that goes on and on and on. Then M11.9.1.2, then M11.9.2, M11.9.3, M11.9.4, M14.11.10, M14.11.11, M14.11.12, M14.11.12.1. There's so much more on this, y'all. But the main thing, I mean, it's the main connections. I don't know what else to say. How about a drain hole in the supply plenum? No, it's not allowed. Because if you're having water getting in the supply plenum, then you have, like, say, on a furnace and an AC coil. The AC coils come with what's called a splash guard. And depending on how it's installed, it needs to be in there. And the splash guard sits like this at a 45, or just less than, not so much of a 45, but just a little bit less to catch any splash up to let it run back in. So there should never be a drain hole or drain line in a supply plenum for that reason. Trapped is secondary on negative pressure systems or not? Yes, manufacturer's installation instructions on that. If you're not sure on what to do with your drain lines, manufacturer installation instructions and your code book. Manufacturer's going to tell you what to do on that. Code's just going to tell you how to do it. Okay, what you should and shouldn't do. But the manufacturer is going to say, hey, you want to put a secondary in on a negative system, just like your primary, you need to have a trap. On your train systems that have that TAM8 and the GAMs that have the positive pressure coils, they don't have to have a trap. On your furnace coils, they are not required to have a trap. They say just take it right outside. SS drain line switch, a horizontal drain line switch in that, and then a secondary switch. Done. Now, what about furnaces? 90% furnaces. They don't have drain pan switches. They don't have drain. They have a drain line, but no switch. What? Now your brain's thinking. The furnace does that internally with the pressure switches. If it can't pull through the thing because it stopped the drain water, too much water, it shuts itself down. So yes, I'm gonna show you the guys this right here. That is that section right there. Okay. That is everything we just read. And then we're going to flip it. This page here. And I'm waiting for it to focus. But yeah, there's the rest of it down to right here. Okay. All that is your condensate disposal stuff. Talks about everything. Appliances, equipment, installation, and pans. Drain pipe materials and sizes. Drain line maintenance. Appliance, equipment, installation, and pans. Condensate pumps. Auxiliary drain pans. Installation of refrigerant piping installation. So basically, once we get out of section 11, 14.11.11, when it gets to point 12, we're getting the refrigerant piping. We go drain piping size material. Components of the condensate disposal system shall be ABS cast iron, copper, cross-linked polyethylene, CPVC, galvanized steel, ER-RT, polyethylene, polypropylene, or PVC pipe or tubing. Components shall be selected for the pressure and temperatures rating of the installation. Joints and connections shall be made in accordance with the applicational provisions of Chapter 30. Condensate waste and drain lines shall not be less than 3/4 inch nominal diameter of the drain pan connection of the place of the condensate disposal. Where the drain lines from more than one unit are folded together for condensate drainage, the pipe or tubing size shall be in size in accordance with an approved method. All right. So if you have two drain lines coming together, increase the piping one nominal size. There you go. Now, let's see here. Chapter 30. All right. Chapter 24. Chapter 30 brings us sanitary drainage. Depends on your manufacturer installation instructions and your code in your area. So if we go back here, appliance equipment and installation, where appliances, equipment, or installation are subject to water damage when auxiliary drain pan fills, these portions of appliances, equipment, installations shall be installed above the flood level of the pan. Doesn't say anything about insulating the drain line. It talks about just insulation in the pan. Talks about insulation of refrigerant piping. Insulation, but doesn't say anything about insulation of your drain line. Now, we all know the traps like to sweat. So, yeah. So, back to your connection. That falls in Chapter 30. There's a lot of section in here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. So we went from mechanical to plumbing. It's like I'm scanning. I know we've gotten long into this stuff, and I'm just kind of gonna, yeah. Oh. I'm not finding it, y'all, but it's in here. The solvent cementing connection. Okay. Talking about using purple primer, basically. But yeah. So, well, there is a washing machine box that has a connection for drain lines. If your unit's in the attic, I know in the locality I was an inspector for, we had versus dumping condensate outside because you had 90% furnaces. The contractors would take the condensate, bring it from the attic to the crawl space, take the crawl space one. Both of them would have their own condensate pumps, and that pump would run all the way over to a standpipe in the garage and dump in there. Um, a standpipe is acting like an open site drain. You cannot take a drain line and tie it into physically make the connection like that into a wastewater system. Okay. You can use it as an open site drain, and it talks about open site drains and plumbings, where you can dump it into like a floor drain. Basically, it's considered an open site drain. So, this gen tech support. So yes, you can dump it into that, and that's where the standpipe comes into play on that. But you just can't physically hard pipe it into it because it has to be an open site drain. And you really don't want to make a hard pipe connection because in the wintertime, if you have a AC system tied into it, trap's going to dry out. Guess what's going to get sucked into the house? Sewer gases. You don't want to smell that. Plain and simple. So, anybody else have any questions? Please ask. I've got the code book. Um, it's your Bible, okay? And what you should and shouldn't do. And the reason code is made up, it's because lawsuits. Code was done because somebody did something, they got sued over it, so they put it in there. Just it is what it is. Um, if you're gonna buy a code book yourself, make sure you get the 2024 version because we're in 25, and usually everyone's 3 years behind. Now, I know some people don't use some areas don't use code books. They use county requirements, whatever. You can't go wrong with you can't go wrong with having one in your truck. It's good knowledge to have. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy reading it. People ask me code questions all the time. I pull the book out. I throw it in the code section. The code section we talked about earlier with the exhaust air in the kitchen for the 400 CFMs. It saved my mom's house from having a negative pressure on it because they had installed one of those ranges that needed 400 CFM as exhaust, but they had to bring 400 CFM back in. The contractor installing it didn't know. The mechanical inspector doing the inspection of the job didn't know. It took me letting them know, hey, you need to do this. And that's what happened. And after they did that, the contractor had to go back and fix all those other ones. Um, Here in Virginia, building code falls under Title 54 of Virginia law. Okay. There is so much about codes. Okay. Legalities that are required for you to understand and learn. Scope and administration is the very first chapter. Okay. And it tells you in that chapter the legalities of things you can and cannot do. And you need to be careful with that. It's chapter 3. I passed. There it is. Scope and administration. Okay. There's so much in here. It talks about the building inspections, building officials, everything you need to know administration wise, permits. It's in here. I could go for hours on code, guys. I really could. It's supposed to be an hour to an hour and a half class. We're at an hour and 45 minutes because I enjoy this so much. Okay. So if you have questions down the road, please hit us up in Chicks asking code questions. Message me in Chicks, Jimmy Hesbach. We're there. We're here to help. I've got the code books. Let's do it. So everyone that's in here, shows like 4 of y'all. Please make sure you hit that thumbs up button in the thing. Let us know you like it. Share it. Talk to us. We're here for you. Again, this is the code book I just read through. Okay. If you have questions, get one. Other than that, everyone else, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see y'all next week when Jennifer and I pull up the duckulator and the manual D. Have a good one.